Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts that the IDF will broaden its operation into the town of Rafah. U.S. President Joe Biden highlights his administration's intention to erect a pier on the shores of the Gaza Strip to accommodate a maritime humanitarian corridor. Former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warns in relation to Mideast hostilities that the worst is not behind us. Israel remains clear-eyed on its goal vis-à-vis the Islamist Hamas, in particular, and the Gaza Strip at large. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking at an officers' course graduation ceremony, re-emphasized the objectives as the IDF persists in its fight ahead. The Israeli Prime Minister went on to stress that mounting international pressure demands of Israeli society to close the ranks and remain steadfast in ensuring that those who perpetrated the atrocities of October 7th will face justice.
וכן, יש לחץ בינלאומי. יש לחץ בינלאומי והוא גובר, אבל דווקא כשהלחץ הבינלאומי גובר, אנחנו צריכים לצופף את השורות בינינו. אנחנו חייבים לעמוד יחד מול הניסיונות לעצור את המלחמה. אנחנו חייבים לדחות יחד את הניסיון הנואל להטיל על צה"ל את האחריות לפשעי החמאס. חמאס הוא זה שרצח, טבח ואנס את אחינו ואחיותינו. חמאס הוא זה שחטף את בנינו ובנותינו. חמאס הוא זה שמבצע פשעי מלחמה יום-יום נגד עמו שלו ונגד עמנו. ואילו אנחנו נלחמים במפלצות הללו כדי להבטיח את עצם קיומנו. ובו בזמן, תוך הגנה על עצמנו, אנחנו מגינים על הערכים המקודשים ביותר של העולם החופשי והחברה האנושית כולה. ולכן אני אומר למנהיגי העולם, כשאנחנו מנצחים את מרצחי ה7 באוקטובר, אנחנו מונים את ה-11 בספטמבר הבא. וראוי שכל העולם התרבותי יתמוך בצבא ההגנה לישראל ובמדינת ישראל.
Netanyahu's remarks vis-à-vis international pressure were made merely a couple of hours before U.S. President Joe Biden may well have given his last State of the Union prior to the upcoming November presidential elections. And while chiefly focused on domestic issues, President Biden also addressed the raging war in the Gaza Strip.
I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home.
President Biden further asserted Israel's fundamental right to self-defense.
Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
The American president went on to highlight his administration's efforts to force the war to a standstill via Qatari and Egyptian mediation for the purpose of persuading the Islamist Hamas terror organization to release the 134 hostages in its captivity, while in tandem, and irrespective of whether temporary ceasefires adopted, aiming to increase the flow of humanitarian aid into the terror-ridden enclave by somehow erecting a pier along the Gazan coastline that would essentially enable the transfer of seaborne cargo.
I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
While President Biden continued by further highlighting his aspirations to integrate Israel further into the Middle East, which he insists can only happen via two-state resolution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict, he also addressed the Iranian threat to Mideast stability and sought to project prowess by citing the limited strikes which he authorized against the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi tribe in Yemen.
Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel.
While President Biden was boasting over his proclaimed resolve to confront Iran's malign behavior in the Middle East, over the unrelenting strikes by the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah against freedom of navigation in the Strait of Bab el-Mandab and adjacent waterways, amongst others, at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, CENTCOM Commander General Michael Kurilla acknowledged that Iran, which directs and facilitates its proxies throughout the region, it is simply not deterred, other than in Iraq and Syria, which General Kurilla labeled as temporary.
General Kurilla, last year at the same hearing, you said that Iran was undeterred. You've touched on this a couple times today. What's your current assessment? Iran deterred, not deterred?
I would tell you Iran is undeterred in support to the Houthis. They are undeterred in their support to Hezbollah, their support to Hamas, the support into the West Bank. They are deterred right now in Iraq and Syria in their support to the Iranian-aligned militia groups, but not in terms of attacks, but not necessarily in terms of their funding and equipping.
The CENTCOM commander, whose area of responsibility spans from the greater Middle East to North Africa, further highlighted Iran's exploitation of the brutal Hamas onslaught on Israel on October 7th, which included a horrific massacre of 1,200 Israelis, including 33 American citizens.
The events of 7 October not only permanently changed Israel and Gaza, it created the conditions for malign actors to sow instability throughout the region and beyond. Iran exploited what they saw as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reshape the Middle East to their advantage. Iran has worked for decades to strategically encircle the region with its proxies, and in the past 6 months, we have seen every proxy in the Iranian threat network operationalized in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, the West Bank, and Yemen. Iran's expansive network of proxies is equipped with advanced, sophisticated weaponry and threatens some of the most vital terrain in the world with global and U.S. implications. Houthi attacks on international shipping and an Iranian-aligned militia attacks on our forces in Iraq and Syria are a direct result of an Iranian threat that has been incrementally spreading. However, Iran knows that its decade-long vision cannot be realized if countries in the region continue to expand integration with each other and deepen their partnership with the United States.
General Kurilla further warned against U.S. complacency.
CENTCOM provides strategic depth to our defense of the homeland, and American security and prosperity are at risk if we cede this space to Iran, terrorism, and China.
Meanwhile, at a Q&A session at the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C., former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo voiced criticism of the Biden administration's policy throughout the Middle East and elsewhere.
They talk about deterrence like it's a slippery slope to war. whereas we would see deterrence as the way of preventing war.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. They'll constantly, when you hear the National Security Advisor or the Secretary of State in the administration, when you hear them talk about things we could do in response, it is always, but if we do that, there's the risk that this will be perceived as escalatory, as opposed to, no, this might finally demonstrate American resolve or Western resolve, even if it's not the U.S. I think that's exactly right. We didn't get it right every day in the Trump administration, but we did understand how to wield both the information space and American power in a way that, we didn't have any wars.
While speaking on a long list of strategic issues related particularly to the Russian war in Ukraine and the Hamas-instigated war against Israel, former Secretary Pompeo noted his worry that he believes that the worst is not behind us. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important to highlight that TV7 Israel is a donation-based non-profit ministry with all of our productions available free of charge. Therefore, we would appreciate it if you would consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Jonathan Hessen wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.